Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Sloppy Lab. This is Bottom of the Beaker, the weekly show about the design, ducks, and strategy of Keyforge, everyone, and I mean everyone's favorite unique deck game. I'm JT Russell, and my co host today is asking you the question: can a neural network learn to recognize doodling? Google yourself some quick draw and find out yourself. Of course, talking about quick draw 3457. How are we doing this morning? Quick draw?
Good morning, JT. I'm doing well. I have coffee instead of tea. I am still just as sleepy as I usually am when we record in the evenings, but I'm doing great.
Awesome. I am super excited, morning though it be for us, in part because of our guest this morning in our lab. And I am super, super happy that she could fit us into her busy schedule, as it were.
Hey,
Hey, you've got to know who I'm talking about. Welcome indeed to Aurore. Thank you so much for joining.
Glad to be here. Thank you for inviting me. Always nice to talk to sloppies.
Um,
that's very nice. Nice of you to say. We're really happy to have you. In fact, it's almost a crime we haven't had you on, and it's like partway through season two already.
I've
Because
been
you've
very grumpy lately. I don't know.
But you do have always a lot to talk about. You're always working on a lot of interesting things with regards to the game. And JT and I, and not tonight, and a lot of the other Sloppy Lab workers have always been interested in your formats, your events you've run. So it's just really awesome to have you here and talk to you about it today.
yeah,
Awesome. Yeah, I loved it.
yeah. Am I allowed a little bit of gushing? You know, we have a celebrity in our midst, as it were, and Aurora. A lot of your formats and leagues that you ran were a big part of my initially being drawn very heavily into the Keyforge and the online community. So big thank you from me
Awesome.
personally
Yeah.
on that. Yeah, it's good times.
Yeah, you're very welcome. I'm happy. I was happy to be pushing the community forward, learning and sharing my knowledge. Back when I was on Sanctimonious, I'm not there anymore. Um, mm, the direction I pushed the Discord was open sharing of information. Like one of the principles of the Discord was that there was no gated content, and people were encouraged to share their thoughts and experiences as openly as possible. Um, I think it's hard to maintain that over time because people tend to find their group of friends and then discuss it privately. But I generally, what I try to do is like keep everything I am learning and I am sharing as open as possible and grow the community. And that's mostly because my community is 100% online. I don't, there's no community local here. Um, we had some players, but it's never been like a big community. So I found my home online.
Hmm.
Absolutely.
And
And
just a little extra gushing, if I can, as well. I'm not sure if you remember our very first episode, Aurora. We talked about like the Sloppy Lab work origin story. Do you recall that story?
that episode
I
was so bad.
I
I'd
don't
feel bad for her if she listened to it.
I'm not
I
asking
don't
you to
think so.
re-listen, but
I
I
think
will I will tell you.
I think you reiterated the origin story a few episodes ago though,
Yeah,
but I don't
it
remember
was
exactly what it was.
it was from the Newton event that you ran. Um,
Oh right.
when you ran Newton, originally, Now in Stereo and I were teammates for Versatile Pairs. He
Hmm.
and I were kind of online gaming friends leading up to that event, and so we paired up for that. And eventually, you ran Newton, and for the Newton league you ran, I believe first, second, and third in some order or another was JT Russell, Now in Stereo, and myself. And then
Yeah,
we there was another Newton team tournament that came later,
the versatile
and
pairs.
well, I think there wasn't there a Newton team as well? I think you ran a Newton team tournament because it was versatile pairs
I believe it.
first, and then there was Newton individual.
No, there was Newton and versatile pairs. Newton is
Ah,
just
okay, all
the
right.
solo version of the versatile pairs.
I need to re-listen to episode one. But the moral of the story is that we started teaming up with JT Russell because of Newton, and we had seen like how we all like did really well in Newton. We're like, hey, let's team up for the next Newton event together, and that's how Sloppy Lab Work started, was
Yeah,
teaming
I
up for Newton.
in versatile pairs I played with Not Knight.
and then we ended up stealing everyone. We stole Not Tonight away from you and away from Can't Touch This. We stole JT away from Not Tonight, and we've just been absorbing great players and people ever since.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, Newton, that was a fun event. Oh man, so many good ones. Versatile pairs too. I played that with my brother, and I remember.
Maybe we should define those formats for those that don't know what they
Yeah.
are.
Yeah, yeah.
In Newton, it's best of two, played similar to adaptive, only without the third game. So, um, say me and Quickdoor are playing. We play first game. I play with my deck. Quickdoor plays with his, and then we swap decks and play a second game. Um, and we usually you play it in round robin and not in Swiss. And if you win both games, you get 3 points, and if you win one game, you get 1 point. So it's heavily incentivized. There's trying to match the power level of the meta, and then you can win both games.
Hmm. Yeah.
Versatile pair is basically the same format exactly, only two players play simultaneously with the same deck. One player plays the Archon always, and one player plays the Reversal always, which was kind of my thing because then I could play with a middling deck, just Archon, which is probably a good way to segue into the premise of formats that I've been looking for.
Yeah, you're doing
Uh,
a really good job of doing our job for us here and keeping the conversation moving along smoothly. It's like you've done this before. But yeah, we brought you here today to talk about alternate formats, specifically ones that you've been developing over time, and really at a higher level, like what your process is like when you're developing these. And then we're leading up to talk in the second half of the show about your current format that you're running in the Time Shapers Discord, the point cap format, which we won't get into too many spoilers yet. But yeah, we are going to dive deep into kind of your process in developing this stuff and
yeah,
see what factors have influenced you and what you're looking for, pros and cons of things like that. So we're going to pick your brain a bit as it is.
awesome.
Awesome.
So you already mentioned Newton and versatile pairs, but
Yeah.
you've developed a number of other ones. Like, what are some examples of some of the other formats you've tried out over time?
Um, there was one of some of the first ones that I've come up with is the obfuscation format, which was my first big attempt at finding my, so to speak, ideal format. Which was the aim was to find a format in which every player can play their own deck every round, like not swap. Um, Also, that it will not include any kind of chain bidding, and and lastly uh, that you allow middling decks, and that it does not rely on a third party tool like SAS or something.
Hmm.
So that's what I was looking for. I did run SASCAP for a very long time, and it was a very successful league. I kept changing it up. The winner of every event, it was single day event, I think, every time.
Hmm.
And then the winner of the event got to pick the new SASCAP for the next event, and second place got to ban a card from the winner's deck, and everybody had that. Everybody needed to observe the last two bans, so you always had something to play around, and it kept everything fresh, and the meta was always changing, and it was really fun to keep that way. But SaaS with time, especially after more set releases, it became very hard to quantify deck strength, and SaaS was just SaaS cap events turned into try and find the deck that SAS overlooked the power of, which is not as fun as just playing a middling deck because you think it's cool and just trying to win with it. So I wanted to find this format, and my first idea was um, to use the scoring system from Dixit. If no, but if everybody knows, Dixit is a kind of game where everybody has abstract art on cards, and one player is the sort of judge or the arbiter for the round. They hide one card face down, and they give a clue for the card, and then all the other players play one. Each player plays a face down card. You shuffle them all together, and then reveal them, and then everybody needs to guess which card the arbiter provided. So if you gave a too strong a clue, everybody will know what the card that you played. And if you give too weak a clue, nobody will know and pick somebody else. So the scoring system is basically you get points for the number of players that guessed your card, but you lose points if everybody guessed your card. So I wanted to do something like that, and obfuscation was that basically everybody submitted decks, and then everybody else would guess which deck is stronger. And if everybody thought your deck was stronger than the other ones in the group, then you wouldn't get any points or something like that. It's been a really long time. I don't remember. It's like 4 years ago. So that was the basis of that. I think that was my main big attempt at the format like that, other than Newton and versatile pairs, which we talked about. Another format that I came up with, which I'm
Real quick,
very
Aurore,
proud of.
before you go on,
Yeah,
another big kind of addition with obfuscation was this like idea of a benchmark deck, right? So
right.
you also kind of put out at the beginning like, hey, this is a deck which you may consider, try and put something kind of near it. You can, and then folks have this idea to gravitate towards. Maybe they would use SAS, maybe they wouldn't. Hopefully, they would just kind of like look at the deck and try and imagine something that would pair up well. But you'd end up with like
Yeah.
kind of this thing for folks to aim at. Yeah, which is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use that for Newton and Tesla and versatile pairs sometimes as well, because Quicto mentioned recently when we have discussions about adaptive and Newton and stuff that Newton and Tesla really punish you for bringing a deck that is too strong or too weak for the meta.
Yeah.
So a benchmark deck does help with that, but it doesn't really solve it. There's still an issue because everybody, evaluates a deck differently. There was one idea at some point that to have people play the benchmark deck on occasion to kind of force people to be matched with the benchmark deck, but that kind of deviates from the idea that you just play your deck.
Yeah. So let me ask you real quick before you move on to the next topic as well. Like with obfuscation, what did you find was lacking with it? Like, why didn't it totally work for you?
Right. It's mostly complexity. Like I kept working on it. There was like 3 iterations of the format, and there were people that enjoyed it and played it. It was like I think we were like 16, 20 people, something like that played it, and it was fun. But it was obvious that this is not something that can appeal to a wide audience, just like hardcore players that you really want to put in the work, because just the upfront cost of the league is everybody needs to spend like a couple of hours evaluating all the deck matchups so they can assess which one they think will win. So that's not amazing. And also, if everybody voted for your deck to win, there was no way for you to come back from that. So you can't even play in the league because it's meaningless.
It's got kind of this like
so
I
there was
lost
complexity.
yeah.
There were issues. The issues could potentially be fixed, but the complexity overhead was already too high for it to be worth it. Like if I fixed it, it probably would be even more complex, and that was just too much for it to be wide appeal. And also, it's completely impossible to run something like that like live. It has to be a league because you need to evaluate all the matchups.
Yeah, I gotcha. So, What's is there another one you want to talk about? You had a few more listed here. We can go into them all if you like, or as many or as few as you want. Um, just kind of wanted to illustrate, the depth of stuff that you've tried already and why or why not
I think the other two that I would like to talk about is Oubliette, which is the format that my most successful format. I didn't come up with Newton and versatile pairs. I just ran it,
Mm,
and I made it a little more popular. It was somebody else's idea. I don't remember who. Uh, there are many other formats that I came up with. There's Gemini, there's Snaglet's Mirror, there's like the drafting variants, all sorts of stuff. But these are the big ones. And my most successful one is still being played is Oubliette. That one is played in ABR as one of the formats, and that one didn't come out to satisfy my ideal format. It doesn't bring out necessarily middling decks, but I came up with it during the hiatus where the method was super stale, and we wanted to freshen things up. So two deck oubliette, which is one of the options. There's also three deck oubliette. Two deck oubliette is where you bring two decks and ban one house. Um, and you cannot bring a deck from the ban house. And then you get matched up with your opponent. And if their ban hits any of your decks, then you can't play it. And then your ban hits one of their decks, they can't play it. And then you just match up with the remaining decks. So if I manage to dodge the ban and I have two decks left, and my opponent has one deck left because I managed to ban one of them, then I get to pick one of the decks based on the matchup. So you have incentive to avoid bans, and this created a very interesting decision where you could ban a very strong house like Logos or Geistoid, and and create your own little meta universe where that house doesn't exist. So
mm,
if you played like in FFG sets and you ban Logos, then you know there is no super speedy Logos stuff around, so you can play a little slower deck or find your efficiency in other houses, and that's very interesting and makes for very varied meta. And
mm.
yeah, it's a very cool format, and I'm happy that it still gets played.
Yeah, and we're up to 12 houses now, I think, across all sets, which changes this format a bit because it used to just be, like you said, you ban a strong house like Logos or Dis was usually the second most popular. And so going into it, you pretty much had to count on one of those two being banned almost all the time. Um, unless you're playing Bazzi and then you just ban Sanctum and then, uh, threw a real wrench into everything.
Oh, you play
Uh,
against Not Tonight and you ban Brobner.
Oh, every
yeah.
time.
Um, so like, do you think any differently of the format now that there are more houses? Like, is there any modifications you'd make to it now?
I honestly haven't played it since Ghost Galaxy took over Keyforge, so I don't know. But I joined the recent ABR league, so I'm gonna find out.
We'll find out together.
The ABR runs three deck oubliette with two bands, I think.
Hmm.
Okay,
Hmm.
two
Yeah.
bands per
So
player.
that two bands per player,
Two.
so you can ban two houses.
Okay, yeah. So they're kind of growing it due to the number of houses.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
There's also option to play oubliette with like card bands or anything else you can come up with, which is fun.
Nice.
Um, Ouroboros is Karen's iteration of it, which is basically um, everybody submits decks, and then one house gets randomly banned based on how much it's represented in the pool of decks, which
Hmm.
is a really cool variant. You're not guaranteed a meta uh, without a specific house, but you can play less popular houses and avoid more bans. Um, I only played it once, I think, and there was this weird thing where like I bought a Bobnar deck, and there was like like I don't know, like 4% Bobnar decks, and it still got banned, which feels really bad. Uh, but the idea is super fun, and it does work. It does make for a more varied meta. But I have no idea how the meta looks like for competition right now. But I think it's also not very varied. It's just like Geistoids all the way down.
Yeah, you're gonna see
So if
Geistoid.
you
Yeah,
do, if you like randomly ban a Geistoid, then that also works. Or be it ban Geistoid that can also balance the meta.
Mhm. Yeah, we
yeah.
ran a bunch
But
of
like you
data
said,
for Oubliette the last time. At one point, before pre-GG, we ran a bunch of Oubliette data across the ABR events and other events that you had run, other folks had run. Uh, yeah, we saw about quarter of the time Disc got banned, then Logos, and those two combined accounted for about half the bans. So I'm very curious to see what it looks like coming out of this ABR season.
Yeah, it's for sure gonna be different.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Like strategy wise, it's super interesting because like if I bring like a non Geistoid non Green Reminders deck, do I still need to dodge the Logos ban because the people that are bringing Green Reminders are gonna ban Logos?
Hmm.
I don't know. It's gonna be
yeah,
interesting. We're gonna find out.
I haven't thought about it yet too. But yeah, I agree. It is pretty interesting, but it doesn't meet the goal that you had set of being able to bring middling decks. You're still trying to bring
No,
the
it doesn't.
strongest decks you can. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, but
so
it does
still
vary the
fun.
meta.
Still fun. Yeah,
I like too
definitely.
that this format has a lot of like elegance and simplicity to it, right? Like it's probably one of the reasons why ABR runs with it. It's another format where I could see like it being an official OP format, right? Just because of how kind of elegant it is, and especially if you introduce
Yeah.
some sort of a I don't know set rotation or something, and you don't have to worry about the number of houses growing when it's getting played.
Yeah.
Then the two deck version is still very clean. Yeah, yeah, very cool.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Cool.
Uh, so I think that's pretty much all the formats we wanted to go through. I totally agree on the complexity part
You
of
can
it.
also play set ban oubliette if you wanted.
So
Yeah.
like the Oubliette can really be open ended, be like ban something, house, card, set. Um,
It could be, yeah. You could just
yeah.
ban a set if you don't wanna, if you want to. If there are a lot of sets, you can just ban a set.
There are a lot of sets that are coming this year. Hope you like sets because we got sets.
gonna have that stuff.
We'll save that one for another day. Yeah. So I'm really interested in hearing what you've learned from like all of these years of developing, like, and especially like what's the hardest part about trying to develop a new format that you found?
um, Making it accessible, definitely. Like
Hmm.
uh, I have many ideas all the time about sets, about the formats, and all sorts of, you know, ways to make the game different and bring all sorts of decks and make things shine. Uh, but the most difficult challenge is just making it accessible. Oubliette obviously wasn't. I had some idea of a crowdsourced deck scoring
Mm.
for a very long time, but I didn't have the technology needed to make it accessible because you need to be able to filter your own decks in some way to find the decks that are under the cap. You don't want to, sit there and calculate every deck to see how many points it's worth. Um, and the reason that uh, basically the next topic is the time shaper point cap. The reason that I could do that is because during all this time I've been developing um, a spreadsheet that is basically a personal scoring system, so I can score all the cards and then see which decks gravitate to the top, so I can test the decks that have cards that I like in them. And once I had that working sheet, turning that into a spreadsheet that can allow players to filter their decks based on the point cap was fairly easy. So yeah, accessibility is everything. If people can't grasp the rules, or if they can't like filter their decks based on their collection, that doesn't really work. Like if for example, decks of Keyforge had a crowdsourced ranking system, and everybody could filter their collection in Index of Keyforge based on this crowdsourced ranking system, then obviously that would be very accessible. But they have no intention of doing that, so that's not going to happen. So we need for another tool to do that. And
Mhm.
ideally, if I could make a website to do that, that would be awesome. But my development skills are way behind. I stopped software development like 5 years ago. And back then, I was just a Java developer, plain old Java. And I have no idea what to do with web development.
Well, I tell you what, I'm a great developer. All I do is tell JT to do something, and he does it, and it's great. It works every time.
I was waiting for that to come. Like, all right, that's your cue, Quick Draw. This is this
That's me.
whole episode was leading up to this moment.
That was
I've been
my
set up.
chance to shine and contribute something here, and I definitely tried to take advantage of it.
I know of a project in development in the wild. I don't want to call them out because they don't need that kind of heat, right? But that could actually serve, and it was one of the things that jumped to mind immediately when we started talking about point cap Aurore. I was like, oh, I know somebody who's working on something that would be awesome for this. Um, so we'll see.
I thought the same thing, but if you don't want to name them, I won't name them yet either.
Yeah, we'll put
Believe
it in the
it.
show notes.
Maybe we will. We'll get permission first.
Yeah.
Um, uh,
Yes.
so
So
I wanted to ask you about bidding formats because you haven't talked about any bidding formats yet, but I know you've experimented with a lot, and I know that you're not a big fan of chains as a balancing mechanism. Um, but you and I have talked about other bidding formats. You've worked on like a dark ember bidding, which is like ember that cannot be messed with.
Dark Amber is not mine. I did
Okay,
Amber bidding.
just okay,
Uh,
regular ember bidding.
I just regular Amber bidding, and somebody else came with the Dark Amber bidding,
Okay,
which is
okay.
better.
Oh, okay. Well,
Uh,
you and I
well,
played a couple test games that I loved with Purge bidding, which was
yeah,
basically like anyone you just bring two different decks and you choose which deck, or I can't remember if we did best of one or best of three, but basically you like bid on how many cards you would purge from the opponent's deck
yeah,
or from the winning
Mm.
deck, and then you play a game with like those cards beginning of the game just removed from the game.
yeah.
And I felt that it was interesting and fun, and it was a lot lower bidding than I expected. Like we had two imbalanced decks, and we only bid like two or three to purge,
Yeah,
and that completely changed the decks in the matchup.
yeah. It's interesting, um, but my problem with it is that it makes my deck not my deck.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's a different
So
deck then. You don't have a
yeah,
key
it's a
charge
different
anymore.
deck.
It's a very different deck.
Yeah. Like I'm also like a fairly combo player. So if you remove two cards from my deck,
Yeah,
it ain't working. It's
yeah,
not doing the
yeah.
thing anymore. I think it could be fun, especially for like sealed, where you don't generally bring a deck with like a specific game plan. I can also
Hmm.
see it being fun for like with that kind of bidding, just like regular Archon bidding, but it will be a very different meta than um,
Hmm.
something else, which is fine. Yeah, you can have different metas. It's just not. It's just not something that appeals to me. So I don't particularly feel like running it. But if Sloppy Labok ran it, I'd probably come and play and see what's the what's the meta
Well,
like.
There you go,
I'm
Quick Draw. Now
I'm
you're
not
getting
plugging
work.
a format that. Yeah, right. Um, I'm not trying to plug a format that I was thinking of. I'm really trying to figure out. So, like, what is it to you that doesn't appeal and doesn't meet your goals with regards to these bidding formats, whether that's chains, amber, purge cards, like because you're trying to play middling decks, not swap decks, and not use a third party system. So, like, what about chain bidding
Chain
will kind of
bidding
like
necessitates swapping decks
Swapping,
at some
yeah. So
point.
like chain bidding to what end if you're not going to swap a
chain
deck?
bidding? Yes. Okay. So, any of the bidding formats require you to potentially swap. Is that
Yeah,
what you're
so
saying?
I had this kind of idea recently where like somebody else would set the chains, like
Hmm.
some third player will set the chains between the decks, and then but you need to somehow score how well they chained the deck,
Hmm.
and I don't know how to do that.
Yeah, that's
Hmm.
tough. You need an independent arbiter, basically, someone who's not playing, someone who has no bias. Um, but that's
Yeah,
it's very hard to do.
yeah. I
That's
don't
tough.
know.
Yeah,
I
I've
mean, I
always
mean,
tried to think.
in theory, you could play like 3 games with chains and it at different points, and then find the balance point or something. Like if at 6 you win and at 2 I win, then the balance point is somewhere in the middle.
Mhm. Yeah, I've
Hmm.
racked my brain for a while trying to think of some kind of a bidding format that doesn't require you to swap. It's just so hard to think like how do you make it fair and like how are both players going to bid? And it's like it's weird because like in my brain I feel like there has to be something there, but I can't figure out what it is.
Yeah, I've tried that for a long time. I don't think there is one. But
Hmm.
maybe somebody will come up with it at some point.
JT's thinking on it right now. You can tell.
Well, I mean, yeah, there has to be some sort of a punch or some sort of a reason for me not to like not or for me to bid honestly, right? Maybe you
Mhm.
could do something where uh, this is yeah, I don't know. Maybe you could do something where winning is not forging 3 keys, but I'm still winning if you win but don't make but I make 2 keys or something. I don't know if you can kind of move the goalpost on the other end. Um,
That's kind of like the amber bidding.
a little bit. Yeah, I don't think it gets you out of swapping decks though. That's I don't know. It's
Yeah.
tough. That's a good one. That's a good
I
question.
yeah. There's something in there. I will report back.
Actually, well, let's come up with a format live.
Okay, we'll do it live.
What if you play X number of rounds always, and what you bid is how many keys do you think you're gonna forge during those X turns,
Hmm.
like in a trick taking game?
Hmm. And so, what if you bid 2 keys and you forge 3? Do you lose a point?
I don't know, but
Because
like
like you can just sandbag at that
I
point
don't
and just
I don't
say
know.
like,
Maybe it's the aggregate number of keys you forged in the group or something like that. Like everybody submits a deck, and then you say I'm gonna forge a total of I'm gonna play 4 games, 15 turns. I'm gonna forge a total of 14 keys. And then if you exactly match like every key that you've successfully bid on and forged, you get like 2 points. If you're short, you lose 1 point per key that you didn't forge, and if you're over, you only get like 1 point per key or something like that. That still
but
makes
like
you want to bring the strongest deck or something.
Hmm.
yeah, and it's also gonna make you just if you're right at what you bid, then you're just gonna stop forging keys,
No, because
right?
you
Yeah,
still get
that's weird.
you still get points. You'd still get points for
Yeah,
going over. You just wouldn't get as many as if you had bid accurately, right? So you're trying to find a bid where you are comfortable that you can achieve that number, but you're still
I see.
okay going over. Yeah,
yeah. It could be an interesting format.
could be
Probably doesn't
interesting.
do what we wanted to do.
Only one way to find out.
Only one way to find out. Quick Draw's gonna run it. No, I'm just kidding.
I've been getting increasing pressure to start running ligs in Sloppy Lab work.
Oh,
So if JT keeps building software for me, maybe I'll start running ligs. And we'll see.
and
Maybe
we
that's
have
a fair trade.
and we have the brain trust for developing the formats too. So there we go. Excellent. We got all the pieces.
All the pieces.
Uh huh.
Um, so you hinted earlier that one of the issues with some of these formats is that you require a meta to develop over time. It's not something that happens right away, and you also punish players or indirectly for not following that meta. Like
Yeah,
you talked about the benchmark decks earlier, and we'll get to point cap in a minute. I think this is not quite specifically relevant to point cap, but point cap is similar in that it is taking some time to develop, and so I just think it's important to kind of highlight that any format that is made, we can't just play one leg and know if it's working or not, right?
Right.
So
That's
it's
mostly true. Yeah. Yeah. You kind of
yeah.
need. Depends on how different it is from just playing Keyforge. Like I didn't need more than one league of Oubliette to know that it works.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to be different. Well, Oubliette maybe is a different example, but like when we think about things like versatile pairs and Newton and point cap, season one could be very different from season two, just depending on
Yeah.
what people bring and what's available to them and
Yeah.
things
It's
like
also
that.
like Motivas used to run like Tesla,
Hmm.
and
Yep.
we had that ran a long time, so there was kind of a meta developing of kind of what kind of deck strength was in the league, being played. uh my proudest achievement in Tesla that Motivas run is like I took my VT winning Jenka deck and I won 4-0. So that was awesome because it's kind of validating that this deck is this is a Jenka deck, but it's not as easy to play as people think.
Yeah. And we
Hmm.
should say for folks too, I'm not sure we define this one, but Tesla is a format where you alternate Archon and reversal rounds over the course of the event. So
Yeah,
you going 4-0, you won two Archon games, but also two reversal games against this Jenka deck
yeah.
that that was a VT winner or what have you. Yeah. So
That wasn't a VT winner. I saw stuck top 8, I think.
okay. I mean, still, I feel like once you're in top cut range, just like these decks are all spice.
Yeah, this was like also beginning of the like tournament, so it was a Krakow. It was a really big tournament. It's like 100 plus people.
Oof. Okay. Spicy indeed.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah, I didn't play many of those Tesla events though. I got rave reviews from Not Tonight as well. A lot of strong players
Night,
in
not
that
the
field.
night used to be there all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Cool, cool, cool.
Time
So
shaper
there,
point cap.
one more thing before we get to the point cap, and
Okay.
one of your goals was not using third-party tools as well. And can you talk about why not, and you know, what makes you want to avoid using them, whether that's SAS score or something else that's kind of like out there as a not just an inherent part of
Um,
the game.
well, scoring systems are imperfect. Uh, there's no perfect scoring system, and also it's it's basically the reason is I own Buzzy. Uh, that's the reason that I don't want to use SAS because Buzzy is uh, one Belgium nationals, 70 plus people. It was two deck survival. I never played my second deck. It was 9-0. It won UK nationals in Alliance. I bought Buzzy unmodified to Alliance, and I won like a 26 player. Um, I got second place in Denmark in both in the Alliance tournament as well. So it's a super strong deck, and SAS race is a 73 right now. It used to be like sub 70 at some point. Um, SAS has no idea how strong this deck is. So um, using a system like SAS to cap a deck strength just means that you need to find the outliers of the system, the
Hmm.
things that the system doesn't accurately value, and we all know that there are certain things that SAS can't value at all, like Heart of the Forest decks, which they win by completely blocking the game if you don't have artifact control, and sometimes even if you do, um, and SAS just doesn't know how to handle scoring that something like that.
Hmm.
And
So it becomes about manipulating this system that is,
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
it still works, but like over time it became less and less accurate. Like I think it's fairly big consensus. I think is that SAS was pretty accurate for Kota and AOA, but as more sets released, it got less and less accurate because the things that the sets did um, were harder and harder to
Hmm.
quantify.
Right.
Uh, if you ask me, the main reason is that um, SAS matches kind of like the mentality of I play a card and it does something now, rather than I play a card and it does something over several turns.
Mm.
So in Coda, you just played a card. Creatures rarely mattered. You cycled your cards. You played your actions. Play effects were everything, and even in Worlds Collide, things were much more sticky. You could develop a board, put words on it, it would stick to the board, and then you could use a card over and over and over again. And if you reap with a card for 6 amber, uh, obviously SAS doesn't account for this because the ARC score of a card is like 3 or 2 or something like
Hmm.
that. Um, and now with Worlds Collide and not World Collide, Winds of Exchange and Grim Reminders, you find yourself rule of sixing and having a board full of tokens, and that's not something a system that just says you play a card that has an effect now can
Hmm.
evaluate at all. Um, and and yeah, but SAS scores are like all over the place. You have Coda decks with 70 something winning, and you have Geisto decks with 110, and that's like completely different ballpark. Um, so yeah, the third party tools are imperfect. Like if it was crowdfunded and dynamic and changes over time, that would be basically Timeshaper's point cap system. Something more dynamic that changes based on what actually happens in the meta.
Mm. And what a good segue that is.
I was just going to say, I'm very happy to make that segue now.
Okay. So Timeshaper's point cap is a very simple system. Um Anytime a deck wins, each card in the deck gets +1 point value. And every time a deck loses, each card in the deck loses 1 point. We start at 10 points just because it's nicer on the eyes. Um, and we play a 360 cap. So basically, every card in your deck is worth 1 point. And yeah, so currently the way we're playing it is that it's 4 weeks league or 5 week league, just Swiss rounds. Um, uh, Everybody plays their deck that is under 360 during the week. I place the match, and then I update the spreadsheet at the end of the week, and then the next week the point cap is changed because some decks won, some decks lost, decks go up, decks go down, and that's just how dynamic it is, and it's been a lot of fun. Like on the first week, everybody played the monster Grim Reminders decks, but with time, everybody has like 1 2 Grim Reminder decks still available in their collection that they can play, and yeah, it's like it's capped now. You can't play Grim
Hmm.
Reminders.
Although
Yeah,
some
except for a
somebody's been
couple ones.
somebody's been losing with Grim Reminders because I'm starting to see things trickle back. But that's kind of cool how things
Yeah,
kind of ebb and flow. So I like the
yeah,
dynamicism, and that's kind of the point too, right? Like part of the point. Yeah.
yeah. Also, I won the first league by playing all my strongest decks,
Hmm.
and now I barely have anything that is like super powerful. Like nothing. I don't have anything that I would bring to a Vault to. So it's also kind of like a personal handicap on the league. Like if I win a lot, then now my collection is slimmer for pickings. I have less options, and I have to struggle. And like at the second league, I only won 1 game out of 4, and now we're going
Hmm.
into the third league. Um, yeah, which starts tomorrow.
Right on.
Yeah.
Oh, I cut you off. Quick draw.
Go ahead. No, no,
No,
no.
no.
Go
I
ahead.
was gonna say I really like how this system one, yeah, hits kind of individuals, right? So my deck specifically, as I win, are gonna get hit hard, right? And also there's
Yeah,
sort of this like deck ascension element too, right? Like this deck once it wins, almost surely if it was near the cap is above it, right? It's automatically gonna get a plus 36. Is that what it is? No. Was it 1 point per card? Did you say, or I forget because we switched it
it's one
from
point per card, but
then
it's
multiples. Yeah.
because the way multiples work. Then, like for example, if you had like I don't know, two Infernus,
Mm-hmm.
it gets plus one for each. So now instead of 1 point per Infernus, it's 3 points per Infernus. So multiples add more points. So if you have
Mm,
triples or quadruples, uh, the deck gets bumped a lot more.
Cool. And that's a nice way of saying like, yeah, you know, you won with Bazi week one. You can't play it week two. Absolutely. You got to wait until some other people lose with similar cards so you can play it again. So there's this nice
Which
like,
I don't think is gonna happen. Like I think I think that that deck is forever banned.
you've got to
it
wait
might
for
be. There's a lot of
yeah, the epochs to
yeah. The
cycle through.
logos is kind of like yeah. A lot of the sanctum and shadows that you have in there, except for maybe like miasma, they're not really like commonly seen cards. So you're right.
Yeah.
Like it might be stuck there over the cap for a long time.
Like I can bring some decks with like similar sanctums and shadows and tank it so I can play Buzzy again. But
Well,
I'm trying to play my better stuff, and right now that's not the low quota deck with Sanctum and Shadows.
Well, while everybody else was bringing their heat in season one, Quick Draw was like, I'm just biding my time with the DT. Gonna lose all these DT games, and then
No, that was season two. That was season two.
two.
Season one, I think for most of us was basically like an Archon tournament, which is fine. Like we're establishing the cap. Every deck is available in week one. In week two, you probably still have a lot of your best Archon decks available. And so I think season one, we all played it as basically Archon. Season two, I played it as a chance to like play some of the DT that I've been wanting to try out for a while,
Mm-hmm.
and I lost I think 2 out of 4, but including I lost with like my best DT. So that one's still available to me. But I tried to mix it up a little bit and use this as an opportunity to play different things, compete with different things, try some things out. Um, but I think that's one of the cool things is that like ideally people are able to play whatever they want to play and still compete. And I felt that I could, even though I was just playing some DT decks that I'd, you know, in some cases never played before. And so I think in season two, it's still very far from being refined, but it's also a great way for me to join a league and play decks that I want to play, not just like, oh, well, this is my best deck, so I should play this, and still
Yeah,
compete.
yeah,
I gotta.
absolutely.
Is it alright if I drop
I
a
mean,
link to the Time Shapers Discord where folks can hop in the league if they want to? Aurora in the chat here.
yeah, of course. I think whoever's watching now can still join, but whoever will listen on the podcast will have to wait for the next one, which will be in about 4 or 5 weeks. You're more than welcome to join.
Yeah, end of May or
Uh,
so is what you're thinking, right?
yeah,
Because I'm not sure
yeah.
when this podcast episode will drop. So the live viewers get a chance to
Oh,
join. This is
okay. Yeah,
more incentive
yeah.
for
So
anyone watching on Twitch.
today is 28th of April. The next league starts tomorrow on the 29th of April, and we have 17 players currently. So that will be either 4 or 5 weeks, depending on if we can find a winner after 4 or not.
Hmm.
And that will be end of May. We will start the next one. I don't give any break. It just
Keep it
Yeah.
rolling.
keeps on going.
Yeah.
New one after
It-
new one after new one.
yeah.
If we
It's all for
start
science right
getting
now.
if we start getting like a really high number of players, like over 24, we might start having like 4 weeks cut off and then like a top cut.
Hmm. Cool. Have
Do you
you?
think the
Oh, sorry. Have you
sorry?
thought about doing any? Like one of the things that's cool about this system too is right. Yeah, it's tied to a league. But you could like I could play a friendly game with you, and we could say, oh, let's find our point cap, like some point cap decks to play, right? And we'll look at what's below
Yeah,
cap and play.
absolutely.
And I mean, I could see imagining having games that are official but not part of a league that affect the cap, or would you prefer to keep it like to league games per se?
Um, Generally speaking, it would be really cool if could be like automatic matchmaking that could like match two people with a point cap.
Mm.
But if it's just two players like playing for fun, I don't want to put those games in the document because uh, they could just pick any kind of point cap they want to play and like really mess up the flow of the document.
Yep. Yep.
Um, but you're of course welcome to just play a pickup game with the point cap system in place and just enjoy a lower cap game if you wanted to.
Right on.
Mhm. Do you think that the league scales well? Like, if this becomes more popular and you get 30 or 40 players in it, does it still work, do you think? Or is it more overhead and management for you to run it at that level?
I could always make a form to submit the results, which would really shortcut some of the work that I do. I don't think the overhead is that much. I just have to tag a deck and then put it in the spreadsheet. It's like 2 clicks. I could do that with like I don't know 50 games a week easy.
Okay. So, 100 players. Let's make it happen.
Yeah,
Right
let's
on.
make it happen.
Um, so I think, as you mentioned, we're only through 2 seasons. Has it gone as you expected it would so far as the point caps go?
So currently the biggest limitation is that because you can't play any decks above 360, because we are playing point cap and not just open Archon, then uh, cards go over a certain point and then get stuck there, and they
Mm.
don't go any further up or any further down. Um, you could like run this point conception on a bunch of open Archon events, collect the data, and then you will have a more accurate representation of what is strong, and then the point gap games will be more point capped. Uh, but I think I've asked everybody that's participated, and everybody's really enjoying this process of building the data and participating and like, oh, this card is high because I played it, and oh, this card is low because I lost with a bunch of stuff. Like we had like a bunch of Worlds Collide cards, like
Mm-hmm.
tank really low. They're like 0 points, so there's like -2, and that's really fun to follow along and see that fluctuating. I did collect all the data from KFPL season 5 and put it in a sheet on a different tab, and and that was like interesting, but it didn't provide more quality data because one it's older sets, and two because it was survival there was like just less games at the top, so there was like a very few select cards that went really high in
Mm-hmm.
value. So yeah, I mean if I wanted to make like some kind of ideal point capping system, I would calculate win percentage of cards instead of points, and also I would use like an ELO system, or I could use an ELO system so that um, when decks face off, certain cards in the deck expect to win, and then you transfer points from one card to the other based on how everything is expected to win rather than just a uniform result. But I think that's both more complicated and less fun. So I'm happy with the way this is going, and I currently don't feel the need to make any changes.
Mm-hmm. I like the simplicity of the system, sort of the
Mhm.
rockability that comes, and you can look, at a deck that's sitting above the cusp, or just below the cusp, and say like, I really have to play this one, and then see exactly where it lands. Or like, uh, at one point, both Not Tonight and I had two AOA decks that we really love, like just at the like 359, and I was like, I have to play Lorian before she plays Rector, just so I can get it in. It is, yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I really appreciate the, yeah, you could go with an elo system or something more complicated. and maybe someday you do, but like I like being able to look at it and like having an intuition on how these things are going to change and where the points are going. It kind of adds a lot
Yeah,
as a person who's like
absolutely.
actively engaged in the spreadsheet. As the results are coming in, seeing how things move, like it's a lot of fun for the junkies, right?
Yeah.
Totally.
I think going into it, I kind of hoped and expected that this would lead to like the middling dex goal that you were hoping for. Um, are we there yet? And how long do you think it would take to get there
Um,
if we're not?
I think we are not gonna get there if we stick it to 360, but we could play a league with lower cap, and then it
Mm.
will be
Okay,
more middling decks.
so you can just say like this league, the standard cap is 360 where everything starts at, but we're gonna play 340 instead and
Yeah,
see,
or
yeah,
290,
Yeah.
or 290.
just losing decks.
Yeah.
Or maybe individuals. You could have caps for individuals that transfer elo wise. So like Quick Draw beats me and his cap goes down, mine goes up. I don't know. There's some interesting room there too. Maybe.
I'm sorry, I'm confused. You said that I beat you. I'm
This
not
is not one of our
sure I
stream
understand.
games. It's just a friendly one where I brought, some horrible Worlds Collide, and you brought your Monster GT, which is clearly overpowered. Yeah.
I love the possibilities for this. Like I hadn't even thought of like just playing like a lower cap. I've always been thinking of this in terms of like the 360 cap, and is the 360 cap ever going to be balanced to the point where, we're all playing these Newton level decks, like
No, I
you
don't
don't think
think
it's
so.
gonna get there?
I don't think so. No, unless we play a bunch of open Archon, uh, like a bunch, like like 200, 400 games, and record all that, and then set a point count at 360, then it might be capped. But even then, I'm not sure because everybody brings like really, really good decks. Like everybody could play. Like our online community could be people playing just different decks, 400 decks, Swiss tournament, and still, uh, all the decks are good, but some of them will land lower than 360
Hmm.
Hmm.
because somebody has to lose.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we're gonna play 360 for at least one more season, uh, but then we might lower the point cap and see like how that feels.
And if you lower the point cap, are those still going to influence the points? Because like you were talking
Yes,
about, okay, because if you have
yes,
like a
yes. I
290
wanted to
cap,
I wanted to be dynamic.
Hmm.
yeah, okay.
Very
I have
cool.
a friend whose whose community is very interested in this format. I shared the info on what this format is a couple days ago with them, and they're interested in sharing this with their community and exploring it. Is this something that you think could be, you know, taken on by other communities? Not necessarily like influencing the cap, but maybe it is. Like maybe is there any possibilities for point cap to become like this larger scale sort of I don't know, for lack of a better word, like an entity or like an organization where things feed into the point cap or other leagues feed into the point cap? Do you have any like
Um,
grander designs like that?
it's possible. You need some more automation for that to work though,
Hmm. So people can't just
because
manipulate it.
yeah, no, not just for that. Just like what you mentioned about the manual input. I
Hmm.
don't particularly wanna have to like currently I have to tag all the decks that are participating in the league so I can import their data into the spreadsheet so I can give points to the cards. Um, so that would be a barrier for other people to use the same sheet, but anybody can just take the sheet, make a copy, and run their own point cap league.
Hmm. Maybe someone could build a website or an app that could do this for us.
Somebody.
I don't know who.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, I do think, in all sincerity, it's a really awesome idea that I think hits on the accessibility that you wanted, it on the
Hmm.
simplicity of it, and I would personally love to see this as like more widely accepted across the greater Keyforge community.
We'll see if we manage to grow it and people enjoy it. I'm sure some people will pick it up. Maybe ABR will play Point Gap.
I mean,
There's still hope for the playoffs.
there's hope for the playoffs. I could see it. Well, I could actually see it being very cool to implement for the regular season of ABR, right? Because we have this rule in ABR where you can't play the same deck twice during the season, and you just throw that away and you say no, you've just got to pick decks that are below cap, and you don't worry about doubling up on a deck. If you lose, play it again, sure.
So that means that instead of you can't play the same deck more than twice, you can't play the same deck if you won with it.
Yes.
Basically.
Yeah, and then
Kind of, yeah.
and then it's got this nice factor too, where the teams that keep winning during the regular season have their collection hampered more than the teams that are losing, and so there's this kind of balancing mechanism as you progress through the
Yeah.
season, which is kind of cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, that absolutely works.
Interesting.
I did like I did propose the idea of like just collecting all the win-loss records from a specific season in ABR, and putting that in the Point Gap, and then running Point Gap under that restriction of decks that didn't do too well in the regular season,
Hmm.
for which could be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like for the data to
That is
really work out well, you need a lot of matches too, where good decks get matched up against not so great decks, and you kind of have reinforce results that reinforce the direction of the cap.
Yeah, I think that's the main thing stopping this from like, but from really like pushing
Converging quickly.
the really good stuff to the top.
Yeah, from converging
Yeah.
quickly. And then the
But
other kind
like,
of confounding is, people can kind of hop from set to set, but that works itself out over time too, I feel like.
yeah, I mean, it's early. We just played 2 seasons. That's like, we had 12 players and 12 players, 4 rounds. So that's 6, 24, 48 games. That's not a lot.
No,
yeah.
I mean,
ABR gets that in
I have memories of
a week.
running, ML experiments in grad school, and then the deadline for me to submit my work is in like 3 days, and I start building the model, and it's like, this is gonna take 4 days to build. It's like already late. It's like these things take time. Like conversions can take time.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But the
Yeah.
exploration and like the journey, it's not all the destination, right? The
Yeah, the journey is really
awesome.
fun. That's why I don't really feel like making any changes right now. It's like it works. People are engaged. You keep looking at your decks, seeing what's available, what's not. You might at some point need to practice new decks because you won't have anything already available, which is cool. That's a good way to explore the collection, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, which I can't say about just random Alcon games on TCO.
Mm-hmm.
You don't like watching your opponent play Witch Queen and Rule of Six, 4 different cards in a turn for 10 minutes?
I actually haven't had that happen to me. I haven't played enough for that to happen to me. But every time I play against a Grim Reminders deck, so many stuff happens and I can't follow it at all. I have no idea what's going on, and I just like one of the games I decided at some point I'm just gonna play Puzzy into whatever and see how it goes, and then my opponent was like, I'm gonna play a troller every turn for the rest of the game, and I'm like,
Yeah.
that doesn't sound fair.
Keyforge isn't supposed to be fair though.
Heart of the trawler. Yes.
Yeah.
No,
Um,
I was just confused how that's happening because
Yeah,
I didn't
I
know
know.
how to stop it because
Um,
I didn't understand what was going on.
in your defense, it's not you. It's not your lack of playing with or against Grim Riders. I feel the same way with Grim Riders, but I think it's also like part of the things that Grim Riders do don't translate well to TCO and understanding what's happening.
Mm.
Like there's so
Yeah.
many milling cards and there's so many prompts that you have to like often scroll back and figure out like what just happened. How did they go from 3 amber to 11 amber by playing 2 cards? And there's just so much going on that the log does not make it a very like easy thing to understand. I've actually found that Grim Riders is easier to play in person than it is on TCO.
I believe that if you've got a
Makes
near
sense.
future lens and then play a boo, it's like all of a sudden You need to like scroll 2 pages of chat to get back to where you were, right? 'Cause-
Yeah,
yeah, totally.
I have a deck with two near future lens, future is past, event horizon,
Oh my
and
gosh.
there's so many times when I just play the event horizon, go through my deck, and it tells me everything single card that's there because of the near future lens, and then it hits a future is past, and then it swaps it, and it tells you everything else that's in there, and I have no idea what happens. I'm like, I'm just gonna end my turn. Just I'll figure this out later.
Go quietly back
It's really hard to
someday.
follow. Yeah,
It's tough. It's tough. The interface on that is just like it's tough to get right because you need to get all the information, but it's a lot of information when you lay it all out, and it's things that you could kind of like shortcut, not shortcut, but present more efficiently in IRL setting for sure. Yeah,
yeah.
cool. Well, that's pretty cool. I don't know. We'll make sure we have links to the various places in the show notes. I'm showing also on stream to the folks watching along at home with their coffee or midday lunchtime. I don't know. I don't know what it is. What it is for you,
It's 4
Aurora.
p.m. here.
4 p.m. Okay, afternoon repast. I don't know.
It's lunchtime in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. My own copy of the point cap sheet, or rather, my collection analysis with some of the various decks that are above and below cap for folks who can look on. Nicely color coded sets and everything too. Yeah, just starting to see
Fancy.
some grim reminders trickling back in. So we'll see. We'll see. Those will get tamped down real fast, I bet.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well,
Is there anything else you want to share on
yeah, any
Point
other
Cap?
points there?
What?
Is there anything else you wanted to share about Point Cap format, or anything else you wanted to discuss about it?
No, I think it's cool. Come play.
I agree. We're going to share the link to your Discord server in the show notes as well. I know a lot more people have been trickling in the last week or two, which is awesome to see. And so, as you already mentioned, the third league is starting tomorrow. It's going to be the biggest one yet, and then late May or early June will be the next one after that. So hopefully, it's even bigger then. I think it will be.
Yep. Yep.
Awesome, folks.
Looking
Well,
forward to it.
we have a nice sponsor from this episode that I think our resident LA TT expert will appreciate. Uh, this episode of Bottom Beaker was brought to you by Phrase Shift, the Crucible's ultimate thesaurus. Expand your lexicon and outwit opponents with unparalleled linguistic finesse. With Phrase Shift at your fingertips, every word becomes a weapon, every sentence a strategy, and every library card grants full access. Grab your Phrase Shift today and be sure to use promo code HaphazardResearch for an additional 20% off at checkout. Thank you so much, Phrase Shift. Holy moly, Phrase Shift is harder to say than I thought.
You didn't rehearse that one, did you?
I never reverse any of these. I don't know what you mean rehearse. We're talking about practice here. Wowza. Well, folks, too, I want to also let you know that Bottom of the Beaker is typically recorded 9:30 Eastern Time, right here at twitch.tv/sloppylabwork on Wednesday evenings. You can find recordings of our past shows and other streams over at youtube.com. We are at Sloppy Labwork over there. For the very best content, 34? No, 57 times distilled and scraped from the bottom of the beaker. You can search for that very phrase, and we'll be there in your podcatcher of choice, ready to play an alternate format with you. Thanks so much to Aurore. This was an absolute pleasure for joining us on Bottom of the Beaker today. Thank you, Aurore.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a ton of fun.
Absolutely. And thanks as well, of course, as always, to QuickDraw. QuickDraw, you got any words, folks, getting off of the final audio stop?
Just want to thank Aurora as well. It's been really nice having you here. We're definitely going to have you back in the future, or maybe a point cap recap in the future, or I know you have plenty of other interesting topics that we could bring to discussion here. So thanks so much, and I hope everyone listening out there stays sloppy.
Yeah, stay sloppy.
Stay sloppy indeed. All right, cool. Cutting the Zencaster recording. It's going to do the old upload thing. Very nice. Yep, and some folks in the chat. Hey, Architect Josh. There's always... Oh, and hey, Cloggin, how's it going? Yeah, folks enjoying Point Cap too. Absolutely, it's been a lot of fun to explore. Let's see. Somebody destroyed a bit. Yeah, there is always Tabletop Simulator. I'm working... So, of things that I am actively working on, I'm working on a cool Actually, that's not relevant at all. Never mind. I was saying I'm working on a game state viewer that lets you kind of have a nice, pleasing UI for game state stuffs. But that's more going to be maybe helpful for
Creating puzzles and stuff, you mean?
puzzles and play-by-post things, um, and then some secret swapper. But they've been actually been very impressed with some of the things, the spreadsheets that have come out of the point cap community. Was it Zenzi? Had some really cool stuff.
Yeah, Zenzi.
Yeah.
Zenzi
Yeah.
makes really very cool spreadsheets.
You, sleep not here. Nice try, Cloggin. I see you. I see you in the chat. Don't worry. All right, folks. Well, do we want to get a game? How are we feeling?
How's your soft stop at 15 minutes from now, JT?
We could play. I could play a not dirtily whirlpool game.
All of JT's decks are dirtily, so we're in trouble here. We could play a point cap game if you guys have time.
I could grab a game
Sure.
that's under cap. Yeah. Do we want to do a 360 cap, or do we want to pick another number? Aurore's pleasure. Yeah.
Let's see. Let's see what I have under 300.
Under 300. Okay.
Ooh, I have a bunch of decks. I have 18 decks under 300.
Let me see if I have.
300 and lower.
Actually,
Some stuff I just lost with.
I have 67 decks, all worlds collide.
wow.
I have one
I
match
have-
mutation.
Nice.
Yeah, I have
And the
25.
rest are Worlds Collide.
Oh my god, I have 25 and they're all Worlds Collide as well.
All worlds collide. Yep.
And some good decks. Very good decks. Yeah, we could be seeing a Worlds Collide only league if we institute a low cap like that.
I have some fun stuff in here though. Vault Warrior Gupta, great name, awesome deck, and Subtly Riveted Zoltan are among my favorites. Oof,
That's a good one.
those are good ones. Those are good ones. I'll do 300
Do
cap.
we want to play 300?
Let's do it. Let's do
Wanna do that,
300
Aurore?
cap. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, sure.
JT, what do we want to do a hand and brain here? What do you think?
Obviously.
Obviously.
So we're gonna
Do you
team
want to
up
play this time?
against you, Aurore.
Okay.
And
Are you familiar with hand and brain?
Yeah.
Okay. JT, I was the hand last week.
okay, so
How do you
you're
feel
gonna
about
make a
being the
game.
hand this week?
I'll be the hand. That sounds good. So I'll make the game.
Yeah.
Gonna be in beginner. Password is sloppy. I'm gonna show hands to spectators, and Quick Draw is the virtuous one. He absolutely won't cheat with looking at your hand, Aurora, but he'll want to see mine. And what do you got?
Correct.
What do you got for a deck, Quick Draw?
So we're not going on the pepper scale this week. We're just going on the point cap, right?
We're going point cap.
So should I give you a deck that I played at a Vault Tour last year, or should I give you something that's fun?
Is this the one AOA deck? No.
No, it's
Volatile.
all Worlds Collide.
Oh, really? That's under cap? Wow. That's under 300.
It's
Man,
yeah.
Worlds Collide's been
VC.
getting... Yeah, VC. Let's not play VC. Come on.
Yeah, let's not play VC. It is exactly 300 right now.
I also, like...
Um,
I don't want to play VC on stream. Everybody's seeing my decisions and...
It's a little weird. I tell you what I'm going to give you. I'm going to give you a deck that I have actually never played before, but I've really wanted to play it for a while.
All right.
Oh, that sounds
I
perfect.
will.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to watch JT play it for me, and let me find the deck real quick. And I will drop the link in the chat to JT. It is Burning Corny Helga, and it is a 68 SAS Worlds Collide deck.
All right. I think I got it.
I will not give you any hints on what I like about this deck. We'll
You
just
mean,
see how it goes.
You mean all those hints that you've gotten from your many repetitions? Oh, I like some of the stuff
in
that
my
this deck
mini rep.
has going on. Okay, I'm digging it. I'm digging it.
Yeah, I think it's a really fun deck. I wouldn't know because I've never played it. So
All right. Good luck and have fun.
Yeah, you too.
oh, I can't wait
Gotta look at your
cannot
deck.
wait to forge your yellow key first. That's like the best
You're
part.
you're a monster.
All right. So I will have the choice of telling you to keep or discard, and we're gonna keep this one.
Okay, as you say.
Um, let's go Star Alliance first.
All right. I'll play Arms Master Melina and pass. That might have been my. Well, let's see. I haven't looked at Aurora's deck yet.
I haven't either.
We're good at this game.
We're great.
We're great. Okay.
I haven't looked in my deck either.
There we go. There we go.
I mean, I know this deck, but I haven't played it in a really long time, so I have no idea what's in it.
I was gonna say
That's the fun.
Star Alliance was probably my third pick of houses.
Yeah, I thought you would have made fun of me if I chose Logos,
I
so I
might
didn't
have.
do that. But we'll go Shadows now.
All right. Well, oh, is there no? There's no chain gang, huh? There's just two subtle chains. Okay. Well, we're gonna smash some cards with subtle chains. Ooh, hit remote access. I like that.
That's a good hit.
Play a couple archives, and as much as Bad Penny and Molina are BFFs IRL, we're gonna pitch that one too. Mm-hmm. Okay. Soulkeeper on Kirby, very nice. And discards Harbinger of Doom, excellent. Okay. Okay.
Um, let's go Logos.
We will go Logos then. I am awfully tempted to use this spike trap. Yeah, I think we do it. We're going to use this spike trap, which is going to hit our Molina. Yep. Now I have to think.
Mm-hmm.
Which I should have done at the beginning, but here we are. All right. I am greedy. I am so greedy. So I'm going to make an archiving decision that Quick Draw is going to try very hard to yell at me for without revealing what I archived.
That is the whole point of this deck.
Yes!
So I would have been
Yes!
greedy too.
I knew it. Love it. Okay. Eddie of her own.
Mm. Let's go Star Alliance.
Cool. Star Alliance. No one in the archives. We're going to have Kirkar come down. Give Eddie some taunting. Oh, is it? You think this is too much table talk, Cloggin? Maybe we should be a little more.
We got in trouble last week for the table talk.
We
didn't learn our lesson.
Didn't learn our lesson, maybe. All right, I was thinking about maybe breaking up my logo sport a little bit there with Muldoon, but we'll go with that, and that's it.
I would have broken it up personally, but I don't know if it makes a difference. I also probably would have put Tin Can behind the taunt, no?
I mean, you think? Maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. just observing that rules breaking is happening, chat. We can observe that it's happening without judging. I like that.
No, I think the long-standing tradition of Hand and Brain has been that we discuss the plays the turn after and let them know what we think was good or not.
Okay.
I think it's okay.
Meanwhile, Aurora's dismantling our board. Okay. Ooh, Helmsman Spears. Spicy.
Very. All right. That's a lot of cards you played there that turn.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I think it's time to cycle, so let's go shadows.
Shadows we will do. Alright, so Inky Gloom gets played. No Reaping next turn. Another Inky Gloom just in case. And we are going to mug. We're going to mug the Spears. Just for, wasn't Reaping, but we got to, just play it safe. Stealth mode. Nice, nice. Mm-hmm. And she gets to check. Okay.
That's unfortunate.
Well, quick draw.
I love the yellow key. So we're gonna forge that yellow key first.
I just want you to know that I'm judging you. Continue to judge you.
I would expect no less.
Yeah.
Um, hmm. Hmm.
Right.
Yeah. Let's go Logos here.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Have I ever mentioned before that it's so much better being the brain because you don't have the pressure of like not screwing up a turn.
Well, you still screw up
I
the
mean,
turn. You're just so far upstream that no one remembers by the
I,
time it's
s-
screwed up.
I screwed up the turn by choosing Logos this turn. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm talking in generalities. Quick draw. That's not good.
Mhm.
Yeah. All right. So I'm gonna play this Hapsis and Quant. I am gonna reap with the Think Tank and give Aurora some cards. Boy, oh. And I'm not gonna use the Long Fuse Mines.
I would have maybe fought the Ingram.
Well, if you were the hand, we would have seen that play out.
Another stealth mode.
Oof. How many stealth moves are in here? Is that all of them? That's all of them. All right. Although she's about to flip her deck, maybe. Yeesh. And there was a weekend all
Yikes.
win. Oh, man.
I know, it's so brutal.
Oh, it's so brutal. Oh, no.
Where is your Eddie? Um, I'm gonna go with a Hail Mary and call Logos.
Yeah. I'll tell you where the Eddy is. It's right on top of the deck.
It's gotta be.
It's got to be. This time I am gonna fight. Yeah, we know from Quincy's game yesterday that he really likes Eddies.
Oh yeah.
Oh, too soon? Sorry, I don't know.
Um, for those not in the know on what JT's talking about,
Oh, that's not an Eddie.
that's not Eddie. Not tonight and I played our KTL finals adaptive match, and not tonight I think played Eddie 6 times in the game, maybe 7.
Whoa, it was the next card. I mean,
What was the next card?
there might be an Eddie in our hand. I don't know.
There might be.
Oh, brutal.
That is
Brutality.
brutal. Um, Perfectly countered what this deck does.
So good. We're breaking from tradition here. We have to step up our game. We haven't let a guest win in a long time. We have a tradition of crushing guest souls when they come on to talk to us. Check again. Come on now.
Well, I guess we're going Logos.
Yeah. All right. No on the
Dang.
archives. Deal 3 to each enemy not flank creature. Yeah. Oofa doofa. Let's get another fight in, I think, with the Hapsis. That's cool. Gonna get a Reap in with the Wormhole Technician. Archives a Skeleton Key. That's cool.
So cool.
That's pretty cool.
So cool.
That's the best.
Skeleton key. Whoa.
Hey, yep. Reap and then play out this Eddie and archive a thing. And yep, that's what we did.
Yeah. Probably would have just killed the Kirker with a Think Tank, right? I don't know if it matters.
Couldn't.
Kill it? Could I?
It's a locus.
You could have used the Long Fuse Mines and then fought it.
That's fair. Could I? Yeah, I could have. You're right. Oofa doofa. What? Triple Soul Keeper, hilarious.
So
Nice.
if we pretend that Aurore had one key, we could display what this deck could do.
We have to go with style at least. Yeah, let's go.
So we'll go with Star Alliance.
I will take the archives. I'll get one more draw here, I think. Is that better than a Reap? Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool. So we'll play our own, let's see, 10, 12. We'll play our own We Can All Win. Cool. Play a comm officer, Kirby. Awesome. Kirby's Blaster gets us 2 more cards. Now we're at... Okay, so that's 13... You need to get to 16 normally to forge with Data Forge between Hand and Amber. I am at 13. Hand count reduced by... Or key cost reduced by 2. Ooh, am I still 1 short? No.
I think so.
No. Yeah, still 1 short. Womp womp. Well, there's the Data Forge. It's very impressive.
I'm impressed.
Yeah, be impressed by our awesomeness here. Look at these excellent Kirby's too. I can't even. Let's put this one down. Amber there. Let's. We're just going for funsies here, and then I don't actually want to end the turn without my dude on board. Well, good game. I blame the brain.
Good game.
I blame the brain too. I blame the stealth modes because without the
So
stealth modes,
good.
we could have had a turn like that with like the Kirby's We Can All Win and the Graft, which is what this deck's going for.
If your own We Can All Win turn didn't have a stealth mode, we would have We Can All Win on top of your We Can All Win and then grafted, and it would have been so good.
Yeah, it would have been really sweet.
Oh,
And
but
Forge for
alas,
two.
Can't win games with
Yeah.
coulda beens, you know. Awesome. Well, that was a lot of
Well,
fun.
thanks for letting me win, but I feel like you like me.
Yeah, you know, it's an honor we've
Is this
given very few of our guests. So yeah.
is Virtuoso Gruger typically a rush deck? Because I would not have pegged it as like bursting as
Yeah,
fast
it's
as it
pretty
did.
rushy.
Let's see.
It's
Good.
pretty rushy. It rushes and the stealth modes, and if it can stick Hanson and Spears, obviously it can do some very ugly things.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah.
and you have ways of sticking it with the taunts and the wards, so looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah. 15 pips, 2.8 on the amber control. Yeah, this deck has one thing on its mind: get over the finish line. I like it with the stealth mode. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Very
Awesome.
cool.
Oof. Well, that was a lot of fun. And we're doing pretty well on time. I dig it. So right on, right on. Glad we played the game. And folks could get
Yeah,
more.
awesome.
Jump in on the Timesheepers Discord. There'll be the link in the show notes too. Again, to get on the Point Cap leagues for more games like that. Except not with Quick Draw calling horrible houses for you to play out.
JT, this is like only the first or maybe second game you've ever lost when you forged the yellow key.
I have no words. I have no words. Indeed. Cool. And yeah, thanks again to Aurore for coming on and play with us.
Awesome. Thank you
Good
very
times.
much. See you around.
Thanks, Aurore.
Thanks, chat. Bye.